page. Famous last words, just a little tiny one. But if you guys can all just for me, just before we get started, just so I know that you can see and hear everything okay, I'm just going to get you to quickly pop a little comment in the chat here. I'll just start off with everyone to...
I think someone's put their hands up there.
Kelly has put her hands up. So I think that it all... Okay, we've got a few hands up. So
I think the volume's working.
I think it is. Awesome. I think it should be just like...
Well, the only challenge is we can't hear them, right? So
no. But you know what I'm going to do, just so I can double check, is make sure I'll see whether someone has messaged me just to double check, because I might have. Beautiful. So I've had a message to say we're live, but the chat's disabled, which is fine because we don't really need anyone to chat with us because you and I are going to chat. So
thank you. As if you're ever going to get a word in edgewise with us, seriously.
That's right. All right. I think we're good. Thank you. Thanks,
guys.
Nice start, don't we?
Amazing. Thanks, guys. All right. Let's formally start and welcome you all to today's online watch party.
Yes.
And I've been working with Dave for the last for 2025, and he has suggested that an online watch party is something really, really important to share the vision of PM Collective. So I'm going to hand straight over to you.
Are you? Okay.
And let you take. Are you ready to? Or do we keep on talking?
Well, you for a second. I'm just trying to see. Have you allowed me to share? Because I'm trying to open up the share button here, and it won't let me. Let me just get it. Maybe it's just my things in the way. There we go. So,
okay.
Just okay. So I'm hoping if I share my screen, I'm going to just be patient here for a second, because what I'm going to do.
And I'll keep on talking while you do that for a second. Okay, amazing. And it looks like it's coming up here. So over the last 9 months working with Dave, he took quite a while to get everything out of my head. In my words.
Yes.
And I'm sure the process...
Head and heart.
Yes. And I'm sure the process was probably only meant to take maybe 3 months. It took 9 months with me. So first of all, thanks for his patience with it. But it has... Dave's someone who I've known for a number of years, and everything that you say, you put on socials, I very much resonated. It's like you're saying exactly what's in my brain. So I was very fortunate to work with you. So, and I appreciate everything that you've done to help me get on the right track, and just to really get a clear path with where I see the industry going, and where I see PM Collective going, and where I can see us as an industry all sort of supporting that movement. So now you look all calm and collected. I'm going to hand over to you.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes. So firstly, good day, everybody. It's been an absolute privilege and a pleasure to, over the past 9 months, to be able to help you to uncover and create and build out a future for PM Collective. Just to see your journey over the years, much like you've seen me, I've seen your journey continue to evolve, and what you've started with the PM Collective and what the future looks like. I'm really excited to share that with people, and it was just an absolute privilege to be a part of that process. Being able to help people shape their future is just a gift that I get to have every day. So thank you for allowing me to be a part of that process with you guys. What I'm going to do through this is I'm going to share with you, kind of like introduce everyone to the whole process that we went through. And then maybe they'll understand why it took 9 months.
Maybe,
right?
Probably.
It takes 9 months to give birth to a child. So, it's right. And so I'm going to share with the process, and then I'm going to hand over to Ash when we get to the stages of what we've uncovered through the process. I'll hand to Ash for that part, and then I will talk about how we got there, and Ash will talk what we created. Right?
Yeah,
okay.
Amazing.
So let's get started. The first thing is I want people to understand the whole journey that we've been on. So it started with this is really getting the leadership process and the understanding of human behavior, org behavior, culture, strategy. And once again, as Ash has already alluded to, it already resonated with you, the way that we think about creating human-centric organizations and building an ecosystem, not an ecosystem structure in our organizations. So we went through all that so we can make sure that whatever we're building as we went forward is going to be something that creates that thing where we're treating people as human beings first, employees second, or in this case, community members second. So we went through all that and looked at what the future of work, the future of leadership and all that would be, so that we could really make sure that we're leading not only our industry, but everyone in the PM Collective forward in a way where they had that human-centric nature to everything that we built. And so we went through that. Then we also looked at the landscape, like where are we now? Like, and what are the 4 frameworks that we need to build? I challenge you through a SWOT analysis, which we're going to review. We did a little predicting the future. We got out the crystal ball and what's the future going to be like? And that was fun. And then once we did that, then we got into really the first stage, which is getting the culture clear. If we want to build PM Collective into the future, culture is the ultimate filter for talent. It is the number one thing that attracts the right people to your organization. It becomes the magnet. So we looked at how do we create an invincible culture for PM Collective? And we looked at its purpose, its values, its vision. Then once we got that clearly defined, we then moved to strategy and looked at, what's the mission in terms of the next 3 years? Who does PM Collective need to become to evolve and stay relevant? And then we mapped out the 3-year goals and objectives, and then we did the 1 year. And then we're kind of right now at the 90-day planning process. So we're going to go all the way down to the 1 year and just give you guys an insight into all that was created. But this is the process that we took, and understanding that it's not just about creating the content, it's about actually learning it, then contextualizing it, and then starting to put it into place. And some of you might have already experienced some of the things that we're going to share, because the innate bias for action that you have as a human being as we get to the next session, because I've already done that. I've already put that in. I've already started that.
I'm an implementer.
Yes.
I'm a person at those real estate conferences that writes my list and has it done before I leave that day.
Yes. So this is why then we did that. Then we would do the next piece. And then we would do. So this process is more about getting through it right rather than just getting right through it. And you were the epitome of doing that and putting stuff into place straight away. So let's start off very quickly. I just want to introduce to some of the concepts from a leadership process that we took Ash through, and PM Collective is the foundations of which it's built on. Firstly is the concept of what is leadership. Now, normally I would ask this of everybody here, but because this is a webinar and we're presenting it, when you think about the concept of leadership, what does that mean? So we have this definition we use at Circle Leadership, which is leadership's all about helping other people to become their best, to do their best while in your care and beyond. And that means that what we want here, if you look at that, you don't need positions or titles to demonstrate leadership. And when we think about organizations and PM Collective, we want to build all around leadership, not more top-down layers in a community organization that's here to improve its industry. So we want to make sure that we can actually create this all around where anyone can demonstrate leadership at any time. The other part of this definition of leadership is the last part, where it says, while in your care and beyond. So while you're in the care of either Ash or any of the other people in PM Collective, we care about you as a human being first and a community member second, right? This is all about how do we create human-centric organizations. So you don't need a position or a title. We want to create all around, not more layers. We want to build this really amazing community that any one of you could be leading any part of it at any time, and make sure that we never forget that we're all human beings first, right? And if we could create a community where not only do we lift our industry up, but each of us is helping to lift each other up. This is how we make our industry really strong, and we work together, even as worthy rivals, that we can create this collaborative nature where everyone's trying to help each other become their best, because our industry deserves our best, because the people our industry serves deserve our best.
Yeah.
And one of the other things we looked at then is, like, how do we lead teams into this new world? And there's 4 things here when you think about the future of work and the future of leadership that we challenge organizations on is number one is like creating a new organizational model. We need to create a network of teams independent but interlinked. And if you think of what you've designed here already at PM Collective and where it's going in the future, like, you already have this model. So this is really exciting. And that we want to make sure that we build coaches, not bosses. That how are we empowering and building our people through coaching experiences? And once again, is that how do we help lift each other up? We're not looking for more bosses in PM Collective. We're looking for people who can help other people become their best and do their best.
You say more bosses like I'm a boss, but I'm not really
No.
a boss, am I?
No, definitely not.
You do need a boss.
No, you might be bossy at times, but like, you're not a boss. No, like, you're like a boss, but not in the technical managerial terms. No. And by the way, if we can't have fun while we're getting the work done, what's the point? But the other thing is like creating team experiences. And this is why culture is so important. It's not just about creating, how do we create, like really fun events and stuff, but how do we create this amazing people experience as being part of PM Collective, where even if you're not in it forever, but when you leave, you look back on it fondly, go, that was one of the most amazing experiences I ever had, was being part of PM Collective. And of course, we know we need to leverage new technologies and making sure that we're using technology that brings people together, not tears people apart or makes people fearful. So very quickly, just a couple other key points in this leadership process is to understand that this is one of my favorite quotes of all time, that you never change things by fighting the existing reality. If you want things to change, build a new model that makes the old model obsolete. And this is what we challenge people on, is that we can't keep leading our organizations the way we led them. We can't have the same old organizational structures the way we've had them. We can't use the same philosophies anymore. The world has changed. People have changed. Markets changing. Everything's happening. So we can't keep the same model in a world where everything's changing. And so when we think about organizational models, PM Collective is not set up to be a hierarchical structure. Which is what we would call an ecosystem. Like Ash is the CEO, the founder of PM Collective, and they have all these leaders and all these things, and you report through to these leaders in your groups. That is definitely not the future of PM Collective. The future of PM Collective is an ecosystem of leadership where the purpose sits at the center and it's surrounded by values where we all answer to something first, not to someone. And we want to build these, if you see it like this, you have your coffee chats and you have these amazing people all around Australia building these network of cells of people that all want to be a part of something amazing. So we're making sure that we establish this as an ecosystem organization. All right. So once again, as I've already alluded to, top-down leadership is a thing of the past. All around leadership is the way forward. And that's what we're making sure that the PM Collective is built on. The other thing is, of course, as I've already said, that we want to make sure everybody answers to something first, not to someone. And that should be our purpose through the values, that our purpose is the number one decision-making filter. We want to make sure that the best idea wins, not the boss's idea, not we have bosses, or in this case, the Queen's idea.
I like that.
Yes. But also, please understand that the point of creating this amazing experience in PM Collective and being a part of it is that people will deliver exceptional value when they feel exceptionally valued. Each one of us should feel exceptionally valued as being a part of this. And then we can all deliver exceptional value as being a part of this, which is how we create this, where we can have a culture where everybody's lifting everybody up, right? And then the other part of this is that what we've challenged Ash on is the culture and brand relationship. And this is what a lot of people don't understand in business at the moment, is that culture is how we think and feel around here. It's not just how we feel about being it. It's how we think and feel. So we have to have the right thinking structure and how we feel about our organization. And then when we speak that with love to the world, you can imagine every single property manager around the world speaking with love about why they do what they do and how they think about it in the world they're trying to create together. And brand then is how the market and consumer thinks and feels. So when you speak that love to the market can't help but respond in kind and fall in love with why you guys do what you do. And this is where brand is an inside out proposition. We're not here to create a branding and marketing thing version of an outwardly facing. What we're building through this process here is something that will apply to all stakeholders. So when you look at what we've created and what Ash has brought to the table, please understand that this should apply to all stakeholders. It's not just for the property managers, it's all our people in our industries, our strategic partners, our suppliers, real estate agents, you name it, and obviously the landlords and the tenants and everybody, because that's the market and consumers. And we're here to make the property management industry where it duly should be as one of the most important things that anybody would be involved in life. So the last thing, of course, is technology. Very quickly, I use this as the simplest way to talk about technology. On the left is Iron Man, on the right is Terminator. Iron Man is a human powered by technology, and Terminator is a technology to overpower humans. So when we think about bringing technology into our organizations, and technology will be a part of the future of a PM Collective in some way, shape, or form, we want to make sure that we're empowering our people in the collective with technology to turn them into superheroes. Like, who didn't want to be a superhero when we were growing up, right? So we want to make sure that we're not here to use technology to eliminate the need for people. What we want to do is use technology to unleash humanity in PM Collective and allow you to use your superpowers of creativity, curiosity, imagination, intuition, and empathy. And how do we unleash that to make our industry better and to build on the collective? So if you do see any technology coming in, please understand this is the philosophy in which is being used. All right, so in the end, what we'll have for PM Collective is what we call a decision-making process. Anyone in the collective will be able to filter decisions and be empowered to make smarter decisions within the collective, because we'll have all these things in place where we can go, does it serve the collective's purpose? Yes or no? Does it reject any of our values? Yes or no? Will it help us move towards the vision we see, that future world that we see? Yes or no? Will it help us become the organization we need to do that? Yes or no? And then then it's just a matter of passing the narrative into the story and going, hey, what we're working on here and what we want to do, who would need to be involved? What's the cost benefit? Who and what would need to be involved in the execution? And when should we do it? So what we can do is start to learn what to say no to, because everything else can become a yes. And then all we have to do is work, is there a better yes or a better time for that yes? And so as a collective, once again, this is an industry-led organization. We need all of us to be able to make smarter decisions in alignment, because we don't want people just making any decisions. We want to make sure that any decision that we do make is lifting everybody up, and the industry and the collective. And so we need to have those filters in place. So this is why we've gone through this process. So let's talk about the landscape. Let's get into it now. When we talked about the landscape, there's 4 frameworks that we challenged ASH to help to build. And the first one, of course, is the cultural framework. And the cultural framework is, as we've already said, purpose, values, and vision. Then we align that through mission to build the strategic framework, so we can create an alignment between culture and strategy. Because what we've helped ASH do here is make sure that culture and strategy aren't competing forces, but they're completing forces, where they work together in harmony as an ecosystem. And our strategic framework is our mission and objectives. So who do we need to become, and how would we know we've become that? And then our performance framework, then of course, is the key results, looking at whatever percentages, numbers, and dollars to achieve those objectives. And then the last framework, which is where we're at now, is the tactical framework, is how are we going to do this every quarter? In today's world, please understand that if any of you can predict what's going to happen in the next 3 years, please let us know, or the next 1 year. So where we used to be able to go, here's how we're going to build this organization in terms of the how-tos and all the tactics and all the things we're going to do, those worlds don't exist. So what we've built together here for PM Collective is what must be accomplished is mandatory. How and when we get there is arbitrary. It's much like we've set a destination for the future of PM Collective. Now, if we go to Google Maps and I set my maps to come here, and all of a sudden there's construction, does Google Map change my destination, or does it reroute me to a new way to get to the destination? And so that's important to understand. So the how and when can and will change, right? This is why we only challenge ASH to do the how-to every quarter. So let's jump into the SWOT. So this is where you finally get to say something. First thing we do is challenge ASH on the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Now, for some of you may have done SWOTs in the past, some of you may not. Just fundamentally, please understand that strengths and weaknesses are the things that are internal, and opportunities and threats are those things that are external. Okay, so one of the things the challenge is, like, there's so many strengths and weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, but let's nut it down to the 3 biggest, most important things that we see. And so Ash, I'm going to hand over to you. So why did you think that these were the 3 strengths that we should maximize?
So the first one for me was providing free resources to the community. I think that one was around the fact that there are a lot of real estate businesses that don't pay for training, don't value training. And so I want to make sure that training is accessible, and there's no excuse for people to be part of something, even if they are working for a business where they don't pay for it. I just didn't want that to ever be an excuse. So I think providing free resource and access to podcasts and the peer-to-peer learning and the coffee conversations is something that's important to me. Yep. To make sure that we're capturing everyone, and with no excuses.
Yeah, and if you lower the barrier to entry, then we make it a lot easier for people to access. Then it's up to them to just take that one step, right? Doors open, come through. Yeah. Beautiful. And the others?
So the signature programs and concepts new to the industry. So that's something that I already do. I find it quite natural to think of the future, and also to, I think I'm in a very fortunate position to trial things in my real estate, to give it a go. And if it works, fantastic, put it out to the industry and progress as an industry. And if it doesn't, then no worries, move on. And I think I am that type of person that has the ability to be able to do that, and the motivation to do that in the business. So I can do that on behalf of everybody. And I have found that that's been really successful, and something that I think is needed a lot. So they've been great. So I'm really looking forward to amplifying the signature programs.
Awesome.
And the industry advocacy, for me, I feel like you can't progress as an industry if people don't have a voice and don't start challenging opinions and thoughts in the industry. And an example would be, recently I did an interview with a couple in their 20s to find out their thoughts and opinions of the investor market. Now, this young couple in their 20s don't ever want to be an investor. They think they're contributing to the housing, the housing crisis. They have very strong opinions on it. But it's really important that we hear those opinions so that we can understand and we can work towards understanding each other, whether it's owners, tenants, other property managers, business owners, so that there is progression. Otherwise, we just sit stagnant.
Yep.
So that's the reason for industry advocacy, why that is so important for us to have a voice.
Right. And if you think about, some of you would already see that and feel that. These are strengths, once again, that we need to make sure we don't lose, and we're going to keep those as we move forward. The other side of that coin, though, is that there's some areas we do need to improve on. And so if you want to talk to just quickly about those things that we see that really felt that, these are the things we need to work on internally.
Yeah, so internally, my database, I have a good database, which is probably 90% property management professionals, maybe more, which is fantastic. But in comparison to other databases, it is on the smaller side. And I think I have that a little bit of imposter syndrome sometimes, because I'm just, we're over here in Perth, and it's just like we're so far away from, I guess, what I am perceiving everything happening on the East Coast. And so I feel like that is a bit of a weakness, being far in Perth. Not that I'm going to change that to move over east, but it is something that I'm conscious of, that I need to work on improving. That. The passive and sporadic promotion, those that know me well know that I am very ad hoc with what I do, to the point where Dave was like, last night, he messages me and he goes, "So where are we meeting tomorrow?" And I was like, "Where are you?" And he's like, "I'm in Perth for this." And I was like, "Oh, give me 5 minutes." Quickly call PodWave and say, I need a favor. I need to come in. So I am a little bit like that. And I find that I'm just not, I don't feel that I'm consistent. I probably look consistent, though, to be honest, to other people, but it's just something internally that I feel like I can improve on, and have a very consistent plan for 12 months or for 3 years, so that everyone knows what we're doing. And the lack of dedicated support. So for me, it's very much just me trying to do a lot of things. I have an amazing VA, Crystalline, who many of you know, and she is a very, very big support. But bringing in visionary leaders and support in the industry is definitely going to help. And I think for me, it'll be great to have a dedicated team, which I am in the process of doing. So thank you to Corinne, Rach, and Shelby, who have been that support for me. But that'll be great to see that improve.
Yeah, and please understand that we talk about dedicated. It's not people who are committed in sense of dedication. It's specialized or dedicated to specific functions, right?
Yeah.
Right. So those are things internal. Now, when we think on the other side, outside of our collective, there's going to be a whole bunch of opportunities that are available for us to capture. So why did you feel that these were the three most important ones?
So access to property managers in all states. So I find that we tend to gravitate just towards where it's easy. Brisbane and Melbourne's really easy, but I think there's a lot of states that miss out. And so really making sure that I've got a focus on the opportunity in areas like Darwin, Adelaide, Tasmania, Canberra, etc. So that for me is really important, that we're not isolating any states, because they're quieter. Increasing the sponsor value is definitely a really big opportunity we've got. So our sponsors already do get great value and support from me. And they are a personal reference from me whenever anyone uses it. I love our sponsors because they do provide, they've got a real interest in supporting the industry. But I really look forward to the opportunity to even increase that value for them through different avenues. So that is always at the forefront of my focus. And then the aligned strategic partnership. So I think there's a really good opportunity there to be a support to corporate partnerships, industry bodies, portals, referring partners. I think that I can really complement that area, and I am really looking forward to sort of focusing on that as well.
Yeah, awesome. And then, of course, in any great opportunities to capture, there's also threats that we need to eliminate or avoid, at least prepare ourselves to, those things that may happen. So why did you come up with these three things?
Yeah, so obviously reputational damage, that came up because if we are going to start advocating more and having those opinions, that is could affect reputation, depending on delivery. I also, one of the things that I kept in mind when we put reputational damage on there is that there's a lot of places, a lot of areas where I don't always get to in person. So sometimes I sort of feel like if people don't know me and haven't met me personally, and because I don't have access to always go and see them in person all the time, whether they're only seeing me online and therefore my reputation is only based on what they see online, which might be through the advocacy. So that is something, I guess I hope to do more travel so I can meet more people face to face, and they can sort of see that the support that I'm doing for the industry is unconditional and not for any other reason. The ability for larger databases to scale attention. So obviously there are a lot of other similar people like me that have big databases, and they can get more attention. And so
not even for the right reasons.
No. But it's just the reality. And then this the self-serving partnerships as well. So as PM Collective gets bigger, then we can find that we can get associations and bodies and institutes that actually could somehow use their big database to replicate what I'm in the process of building, but they may be able to do it faster because they've got all of that attention and scale. So I do have to be mindful of that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And once again, it's okay to have worthy rivals in our industries. We want people who are doing epic work because that just raises the standards. But, once again, as the industry advocacy and a voice, we want to make sure it's the right voice, because unfortunately, a lot of people who get the attention aren't the right voices.
Yeah.
And so please understand, in any of your businesses, that competition isn't a threat to eliminate. No. Your inability to compete is, and this is what we challenge Ash on here, what's our inability to compete? And that's where the ability of larger databases that they might already have that can scale attention quicker. But we're not interested in blowing out other people's candles just to try and make ours shine brighter. We want to make sure we're lighting candles of people who are doing epic work in the world. So having worthy rivals out there is great. Anyone who's doing great for our industry, hey, let's find a way to work together, all right? But that's a self-serving. If we have self-serving ones who don't share in that, that's a challenge for us, right? Okay, so that was the depth. The deep dive we went into in the SWOT analysis, and part of the landscape that we did. Now, what we got into then is, okay, let's talk about the culture. What is the purpose, values, and vision of PM Collective? Let's really dive into what that is. And so we facilitated Ash through this process. Ideally, we want to answer 4 questions, right? Purpose is, why does our business exist? What is the problem we're passionate about solving for those we choose to do that for? And then our values are our unique thinking, right? We're not looking at the corporate rhetoric BS standard values. We're like, what makes us unique in the way we think about why we do what we do in them? And then if we do that every single day through the lens of those values, what does our world look like? What's the future state we're trying to create by coming together every day to do this thing through this unique thinking to have what impact? And then the last question is where it leads into the strategy is then who would we need to become to start to create that world that we see? And we want to make sure that every single person in PM Collective today or coming into PM Collective can answer all these 4 questions exactly the same way, right? So these are the questions that we went through. As we go through this process, one of the things that we challenge people on is that we want to articulate in a way where it's very simple to understand. As Einstein said, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. And Ash, who should understand well enough why we're here, how we think the world we're creating, and the business we're building? Who should think that?
All of us.
Correct.
Yeah.
That was the right answer.
Good. Oh, good. I was a student in school. That's my contact with the teacher.
Did you just ask me a question? So all of us, we want to make sure it's that. And then this is a quote from my very good friend, Aidan Parker. It's one of the best quotes you'll ever see. I wish it was mine. I wish I could steal it, but I won't. We add value by removing things that don't. So who went through this process, we're not here to create word salads. Now, I don't know if some of you have seen some people's purpose statements, values, vision, mission statements, and things like that, but they're very long, wordy things. And part of this process is to challenge us. We have to be able to articulate the answer to all those questions in 66 words or less. Okay, and I remember there was rocking back and forth in the fetal position. There was crying and thinking happy thoughts, and that was just me, not Ash. Right?
The session where I was like, my brain's hurting.
Yes.
We need to finish. I can't do anymore. I'm done.
Right. So please understand what we share with you here is that if we will be able to answer all those 4 questions, every single one of us, in less than 66 words, where some value statements just have 66 words in them. Okay, because the challenge for this process was to remove the redundancy, and each question is designed to answer a specific thing. But then when we stack all those 4 answers together, we create this beautiful narrative for the future of PM Collective. So let's get started. We're going to create a purpose that drives this organization, a set of values to guide it, a vision to inspire it, and a mission to evolve it. The first thing we looked at is purpose. So why does PM Collective exist? What's the problem it's passionate about solving in the world for the people that it chooses to do that for? And the way that we helped Ash identify that was through this, is we looked at who are the people, let me back up. Who are the people that PM Collective is here to serve? So, well, that's the there. So first thing we need to understand is who are the people we want to serve in this world? And then we go what is the problem in terms of the challenge that they face that we see? And we listed out a whole bunch of challenges and we summarized it down into some simple things. And go, this is the people we choose to serve, and here's the summary of that problem that those people have. Then we challenge Ash on, what is PM Collective really passionate about? And when we think about the word passion, please understand the modern day definition of passion is, romance is love, work, what gets you out of bed in the morning. But passion, if you go to the etymology, the root of the word passion, it comes from passierto, which means to suffer. Now, as PMs in our industry, I'm sure you've all suffered, right?
every fucking day.
Oh, we allowed to swear on this? Okay, okay, cool. I've been holding back so much. It's just...
I can do whatever I want.
Okay. Anyway, but and please, I'm not saying we need to suffer, but when we talk about passion in building purpose, it's our ability to endure. What are we willing to fight for? Okay, so it's not just loving it, it's also, but what are you willing to fight for? Because with a strong enough why, you will find many hows and many whats, right? So where PM Collective's passion collides with the people we choose to serve's problem, at the center of that is where purpose lies. So this was the process that we went through. And what we came up with is that PM Collective exists to guide and shape an enjoyable future. So you want to talk about why you felt that was why everyone should be a part of PM Collective.
So there was a couple of layers to this, because not only is it the relationship between PM Collective and property managers and business owners, it's also the relationship between property managers and their clients, their investors and their tenants. So definitely a couple of layers in that. I think for me, I have had we're nearly approaching 20 years of business, and I have had overall a very enjoyable career in property management and in business ownership. And I quite often see so many other business owners who have maybe had their business for 10 years or 20 years or 30 years, and they're still in the trenches. They're really not enjoying the business. And I feel like it's really sad, because they can have an enjoyable future. And I want that for everyone, because it's such a great industry. So I want business ownership to be enjoyable for everyone. I want property management to be enjoyable for everyone. I want tenants to have an enjoyable experience. And
yes, that
investors.
Would be lovely. As a person who's been a tenant many a times in his life, I would love that. Thank you.
Have an enjoyable experience. I mean, we're all together. So
yes,
that captures everything that I think that we should all be working towards.
Okay, so when you think about it, purpose is your first decision-making filter. It is the soul and DNA. It is the beginning of culture. It's the seed of culture. So when you look at this for yourselves, and any one of you here in the part of PM Collective or thinking to join it, the question is simple. Will this help us guide and shape an enjoyable future? Yes or no? And if not, why the heck are we doing it? Right? This is how we use this. It's not just to have this because it's going to look good up on the wall. This is your first decision-making filter. So when you're looking at anything that you want to do in PM Collective, will this help us guide and shape an enjoyable future? If no, send it out and find another way where we can do it, where it could be a yes. Okay, because this is the first decision-making filter. So now anybody wants to be a part of PM Collective, please understand that you go, well, hang on. Do I want to guide and shape an enjoyable future? Yeah, well, then I should be a part of PM Collective. If I don't, that's okay. It doesn't make you a bad person. It's just this might not be the right collective or organization for you. And that's okay. By the way, it's only 6 words. So we got 4
That's
and we cut out 4 words already.
I know that was probably like, I don't know, 7 hours.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, purpose, once again, please understand purpose and values as we go through this. And a lot of you who have already been in PM Collective might already go, well, yeah, that's exactly why we do what we do. I mean, I remember when you came to our first Business Evolution Summit, what pre-pandemic it might have been, or just after, and you brought all these people along, and you're like, they're already talking about the fact that you were doing this,
yeah,
right? And it's quite amazing. So purpose and values already is here; it exists, right? And it's kind of like. What I challenge Ash on is if you imagine you're a sculptor and you have this concrete or clay and you start chiseling away at it, are you chiseling away to create the statue, or are you chiseling away to remove all the stuff to reveal the statue that's already in there? Okay, if you ask any professional sculptor, they could already see the Venus de Milo, the Statue of David, whatever is already there. They're chipping away to allow it to be seen by everybody. And so all I did was chip away and chisel away at Ash's thoughts and everything like that to reveal what's already been laying in her heart and her heart brain about why this business, why she started it in the first place. Okay, so hopefully you've already all felt or experienced that. The next thing, by the way, sorry, yes. So it's really important to understand that I truly believe that all of us want our lives to be more meaningful. So wouldn't it be cool if we could give people work or participate in things that's meaningful, full of meaning? Right. So if you're going to be part of PM Collective, or you could be part of any collective, why would you want to be part of this if you don't find any meaning in it? Right. So do something that's meaningful in your life, because life's way too short to do stuff that's meaningless. Right. So it's really important. So the next thing I challenged Ash on was our values. And this is the unique thinking of our business. Now, some of you might be familiar with Simon Sinek's work in Start With Why. So, purpose is our why. But I'll assure you that, yes, people buy why you do what you do, so people will buy that, but your values are why they buy it from you. Your values are why people would want to get that from PM Collective. And we also want to make sure that we can bottle this magic so everybody understands this is how we think around here. Because the challenge we have in many organizations today is that we go, here's what we value, and here's how we demonstrate. We do this, we do this, we do this. And then people in organizations are going, well, geez, I just wish my people would think for themselves. Right. And well, hang on, you've got everything set up in your organization to tell them what to think. So why would you expect them to think for themselves? Well, we've set this up is so that we can teach everybody here how we think around here. And then once we all understand how we think around here, we can allow innovation and creativity and freedom to think and new ideas to come out, because we'll have a framework for thinking. So anything we think inside that framework, we can freestyle, and anything that rejects that framework is a no anyway. And this is why values are really important, which is why these values are set up on teaching us all how to think inside PM Collective, not what to think, because we need all the best ideas to come out, right? Because do we think that innovation is going to be important to the future of PM Collective?
Absolutely.
Okay, so please understand, innovation in the past was a nice to try thing. Today, it's a necessity. And I'll assure you that organizations do not run out of money. They run out of ideas and innovation. And ideas and innovation come from people, not budgets, and not AI. So it's about a finding game, not a funding game in any organization. How do we find the right people and then find within them their uniqueness and give them a framework which to express it? So this is why values should be used in an organization. One of the things I also did challenge Ash on, and I'm glad you swore earlier so I could say shit now, is to make sure that we didn't worry about shit values. Now, service, honesty, integrity, trust. Why would I call those things shit values? Only because it's an acronym. But
it drives me up the wall, though, when people have this on their websites, like, that we offer, an honest service,
like, wow, you're saying that you value honesty. You're going to be honest with us. Like, is that not price of entry to being a good human being or a good business? The worst one is actually service. Can you imagine, like, probably you're a service-based business, and you go, one of the things that makes us unique is we value service. So you're a service-based business and you value service?
Yeah.
My mind is blown. Yeah. Right? No shit, Sherlock. You should. So please understand, we're not saying that service, honesty, integrity, and trust are shit. They are code of ethics, price of entry, that to be a good human, a good business, right? But if your values are just like everybody else's values, then you're comparable. But when you find your uniqueness, that's when you can stand alone, right? And so what we want to do is find out what is the unique thinking of PM Collective. We're not here to get the corporate rhetoric stuff that should be price of entry. It's like going to the cafe and saying, we have quality coffee here. Wow,
Yeah.
You're a cafe and you have quality coffee? I would hope so. Unless your sign is, hey, we kept shit coffee, come try it.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what we work through. So the values that and we usually say at least 3, but 3 to 6 values at the most. And please understand these values, as you can see on the screen here, which we'll go through, these are the core values, the ones that we want to filter every decision through. Then we're not saying we don't value certain things over here and certain things over there, but our core values are the one we want to filter every decision through. And then we're empowering people to make smarter decisions. Is that we want to make sure that everyone understands what to say no to. So if anything we're working on rejects at any one of these, it rejects at all of these. Please understand that. This is an and proposition. So the values that came out of chiseling away in Ash's brain and her heart brain were the fact that curiosity, adaptability, advocacy, and connection were absolutely unique to the PM Collective in the way that it thinks. And curiosity about being open to learning, adaptability, which is our willingness to stay relevant, and advocacy is about having a voice, and connection, coming together for shared purpose. So can you explain to us why you felt that those were the core values of PM Collective?
Yeah, so the curiosity, I think, is such an important value for people to have. Again, we're talking about progression in the industry. You have to be open to learning and staying at the forefront of what the industry is doing. So for me, that's just a no-brainer. You've got to be curious. And if someone wants to join PM Collective or wants to be part of the community, and you are going to have that mindset of no, we shouldn't do that, or no, I don't want to innovate here, or no, I don't want to learn or progress as industry, then I'm not, it's not for you. It's not something that's going to help you or support you. And yeah, this isn't going to be your thing. The adaptability, the willingness to stay relevant, that's very much, similar to the curiosity. You do need to stay on the ball and stay relevant, because we do have a very changing investor market, tenant market. We've got different generations coming into as our clients. They're different. You have to adapt to that. And I, again, if that's something that's really important to someone, then PM Collective is perfect. But, I know offices that still have, cardboard folders.
That's just how it is in our organization or in our business, Ash. We don't need all that fancy stuff.
Yeah. So I think they can maybe go get support somewhere else and then come over to me when they're a bit more adaptable.
But doesn't make better. Just, hey, that's okay. This probably isn't the place for you.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
We aren't your tribe. We're not your people. This is not where you belong.
No.
Okay.
The advocacy, having a voice, obviously that's really important. I think if anyone has an opinion in the industry, then they're my people, and I love reaching out to people that have shared a really fantastic post or opinion on something. Only the other day did I have someone share a post and an opinion about after hour maintenance, and I invited her on for a podcast. So for me, that's something that I really love hearing from. And I think as well, hearing other people have a voice and not just from me, it is really, really great. So I do love sharing that and highlighting those people on socials when I see it. Then we've got the connection and coming together for a shared purpose. I think we all do have those really crappy days, and that connection is really important, especially for offices and a lot of my clients as well. Businesses where it is just them, or it's just them and one other, and they really do need the connection. And I've also had a lot of clients who have had businesses 20 years ago and have said to me, Ash, if only we had PM Collective 20 years ago, I wouldn't have felt the need to sell my business. So I think that is something that's going to be very valued. It's connection for those solo business owners, but also connection for those property managers or property management professionals that are working in offices where maybe they don't have that connection. We can still support them, because the last thing I would want is for someone to leave the industry because they don't have someone to connect with and share their love and their passion for the industry.
Yeah, awesome. And please understand, when you look at these, this should apply to all stakeholders. So it should apply to everyone who's in the collective, to all strategic partners, suppliers, sponsors, you name it. These apply to all stakeholders.
Yeah.
The other thing is to look at these. So this is how we can use these in PM Collective. And we look at it and we go, if we're working on something, we go, if we're really open to learning, is this what we'd be doing right now? Is this how we'd be behaving? Is this the thing we'd be focused on? And if the answer is yes, high five, we're living our values. And if not, we go, oh, well, no, we might have done this, or I might have really been willing to consider that or that. Okay, great, let's do that. Right. So this is how we use these as we go forward. Once again, these are tools for us to use to create that leadership to lift everybody up. You know, if we're really about coming together for shared purpose, is this the people we would have here? Right. Well, actually, no, we should have had this person and this person here. Well, great. Let's stop this meeting. Let's get them here and let's come back together for shared purpose, because that's what connection looks like. This is why we don't have to identify or say what the behaviors are. If we get the thinking right, the thinking should tell us what the right behavior is. And if we're seeing that behavior, high five. And if we're not, it will tell us where the gap in the thinking is and go, well, let's do that. Right. Or, hey, the people who've come together for this are not here for a shared purpose. They're rejecting. This is not connection. Yep. This is disconnection, actually, and therefore we should say no to it.
And this is what I find we're very in line with the sponsors and the partners, that they all are very curious. They're very adaptable. So the willingness to stay relevant is, you know, when they attend the coffee conversations, they really are wanting to hear what's happening on the ground. What are the property managers experiencing? And then, then the connection for me has been one of the really important things when the sponsors and the partners are actually coming to the coffee convos and connecting with the industry, and not just with a logo, you know, on my email signature, for example. That's really, really important that there is that connection. So relevant, like you were saying, not just for members, but for the industry, for partnerships, etc.
Right. So if you think about the purpose and values in alignment now, the reason PM Collective exists is to guide and shape an enjoyable future. What makes us unique in the way that we go about that is that we're really curious. We're open to learning. We really, you know, being adaptable is critical for us too. We have this willingness to stay relevant. We really value advocacy, and it's about making sure everyone has a voice. And connection is absolutely critical to us. And that's making sure we're all coming together for shared purpose. So you can start to see the narrative now building here from why we exist to how we think about it. And by the way, it's 25 words in total so far.
That's good.
Yeah, that's very good, right? Yeah, when you had a potential to be at 46 words at this stage and you only took 25.
Thought.
Yes, you have less words to say. It's awesome. All right. So the last part of the cultural framework is vision. And it's making sure we have a vision is how we see the world when we're living our purpose through our values. But it's making sure we have this vision of the world, this inspiring picture of the world that's bigger than all of us combined, and something we can't accomplish alone. Now, the reason why I use this picture of Jim Carrey from The Truman Show here is there's a great quote by Antoine Saint-Exupéry. That is the best French Canadian you'll ever get out of me, and that's it. And he said, if you want to build a boat, don't gather the men and women to garnish the materials. Just give them a yearning for the vast and endless sea, and they'll do whatever the heck it takes to build the boat. Of course, I'm paraphrasing the last part, but the vision is this yearning. Can you imagine when we all get together to shape and guide an enjoyable future with all that curiosity, adaptability, and connection, and all that, like 10 years from now, what's the difference going to be in our world? What's that going to look like? And that's what we're seeking to create here, is this inspiring picture of a world. And what Ash came up with is when she said, okay, well, if we do this for 10 years in a row, we can imagine a world where stronger relationships actually create a sustainable future for our industry, right? So this was what the long-term legacy is. We want to build stronger relationships that create a sustainable future for the PM industry. And when you think about every industry is under disruption right now, making sure that we have a sustainable future in our own industry is critical, with everything changing around us. So talk to us a bit more about why you felt that this is the future state that should inspire people to want to be a part of this.
Yeah, so this is definitely, again, a couple of layers. So you've got the relationship between PM Collective and the people in the industry, and then you've also got the relationship between the property manager and their tenants and their investors. And I think from a PM Collective to property manager relationship, the stronger that we can create those relationships with the support, we hopefully will see that in the future we're not going to get as much burnout, because they've got the connection, they've got the support. So really, burnout, we hear in the industry and people leaving the industry, and we're not getting a new influx of young people wanting to join it, then we need to really look after that. So us creating those stronger relationships with you and our community is going to definitely help that sustainable future for property management careers and roles. The stronger relationship between the property manager and the landlords and the tenants, I think, is really important, because otherwise we're at risk of new apps coming up. If we don't, new apps and new apps and AI. I've still got my coffee over there. I haven't finished yet. But, we do have to really create those strong human relationships, because we will be taken over otherwise by an app. I mean, it was just the other day that I saw someone post about a company, an app in the US, where they have, I think it was something like one property manager that was looking after 10,000 doors through this app. And, it's not that I think that will happen, but we could get pretty close to it. And we do really need to work out how we're nurturing those relationships. Otherwise, we're not going to have an industry to work in.
So you said 10,000 doors. What does that mean?
Sorry, well, in the US, they call it doors, not management. So managing 10,000 properties with, one property manager, where in Australia, it might be typically between 100 and 150 per property manager. And you got to watch out with apps. It could, and technology, it could be a situation where property managers are managing 500 or 1,000, or having to, because they're then going to have to compete with these apps or someone else that creates something. But at the end of the day, they can't be a human. They can't provide our clients with that strong relationship. And so we really need to sustain our positions. We need to ensure that there's always a need for property managers and real estate businesses, and we need to get better at having those stronger relationships. So that's really what I really am focused on as well.
So please understand, you can't manage people into caring, you can't manage belonging, you can't manage passion, you can't manage any of these things. So the reason why the Americans are so likely to go down to apps and stuff like that is because they're talking about people and people's greatest asset in terms of their homes and whatever, and people looking for a roof over their head as doors.
Yeah.
They're dehumanizing your industry and your business already. So it's easy to turn it into an app and have AI do it when we dehumanize it. But the PM Collective has a chance here where we're building stronger relationships. That's human stuff. And which is that value of connection, right? Is I would challenge all of you, like, you guys are property, or PMs, I appreciate the title, but you're demonstrating leadership in an industry of management, because we lead passion, we lead caring, we lead belonging, all those things. And relationships are formed through leadership. Transactions are managed by management, right? In terms of that's management, but relationships is a human thing. And this is where we have an opportunity to create the most human organization, because as I wrote recently, that it's not the biggest that's going to win anymore. It's the most human that's going to win. Because everyone's going to be able to leverage AI and do this. So this is why this vision, when you start thinking about what would that world look like, this needs to be that inspiring picture. Can you imagine where stronger relationships, humans all working together, create the sustainable future? Definitely leveraging AI and doing all that sort of stuff, but it comes down to the relationships that we have with each other, our industry, our tenants, our landlords, and all these sorts of things. This is that future. And you'll know you're inspired if you can go, I can't wait for that future. You've just breathed spirit into you going, I want to be a part of that future. I want to be part where stronger relationships create that sustainable future for our industry. Well, then this is why you should believe in what PM Collective is seeking to do in the world. So you now know why it's here. You know how it thinks. You know the world is trying to create, and you know that in 31 words. Here you go.
Not bad.
So that's the cultural framework. So after this, then, once we see this picture of the world, okay, so can you imagine what that world looks like? Wow, that's going to be amazing up there. What I challenge Ash next on is then to start thinking about, actually, I'll talk about that very quickly. Is to please understand this. A lot of people who think about their visions, they have these really small pictures of the world right now because they're uncertain of the future. Well, then they're missing the whole point of a vision. And this is where certainly we challenged you on to get really big. For any of you watching this right now, if you're having some challenges and problems, I know personally from life, whenever I've not been able to find the solution, is because I was thinking too small. Think bigger. Okay, so have a bigger picture. The next thing I challenge Ash on then is, okay, well, who's PM Collective today? If we were to describe PM Collective today, how would you describe it? All right. And so we went through that and said, okay, this is who we are today. And then we go, wow, this is that vision of where stronger relationships create the sustainable future. Then what's the next evolution of PM Collective to start to create that world, right? Because organizations are a series of evolutions. So PM Collective 3 years ago was not the same as it is today, and it cannot stay the same today into the future. So what's that next evolution? And this is where the strategy comes in, because mission is what's the next evolution of our business? Who do we need to become to start creating that world that we see? Okay. And so one of the other things we want to do when we challenge people in this space is to make sure that we evolve and stay relevant, because it's also not only just evolving, but how do we stay relevant in the hearts and minds of those people we choose to serve, why the collective was set up in the first place, but also to make sure that we, one of the things I challenged, I think if you remember this, was I asked you, how would we put PM Collective today out of business? How would we totally wipe out PM Collective today? What would we need to build 3 years from now that would take out either significant market share or totally destroy PM Collective as it stands today? And why would we want to think about that?
Well, because otherwise someone outside our industry is going to come in and do it for us.
Yeah, like either we do it, which is us just finding a way to put our old way of doing business out of business, or someone else could come along and actually put us out of business, which is why if you go back to the SWOT analysis, someone with a larger, database and can scale and do all that and may not even do it as a great job. So this is why we needed to really challenge what is that next evolution of PM Collective, that if we built this, it would put the existing model of PM Collective out of business. And really, basically, we're going, how do we then evolve from this state to that state? Okay. So what we realized is, after challenging Ash on that, is that we must become Australia's industry-led property management partnership. Okay, so talk to us about why you felt that Australia's industry-led property management partnership is the next evolution of PM Collective.
So industry-led, because for me, peer-to-peer learning plays such an important part, and I want to see more of that, because I think that we actually learn a lot more from each other. And I mean, we go to conferences, and yes, the coaches and the speakers are great, but we actually have learned from the networking on the ground. And I feel like as an industry, we should be supporting each other with all our amazing knowledge that we've all got. So industry-led is really important, with us taking control of that. And property management partnership is definitely that, and like you said at the start, the mentality of it is not a hierarchy, it's a partnership, and how we can complement businesses, how we can complement partners in supporting their organizations. So Australia's industry-led property management partnership is very true to what we are trying to do, and it allows everyone to hold a space in PM Collective as well, with their specialty. And I just think how amazing that you can invite people that they might have more experience than me when it comes to managing an office with 5,000 managements. So, you need those people, or there might be someone with only 50 managements and need some support, where they might not be able to relate to someone who's got 1,000 managements. So we really need to together support each person based on our own skills. So industry leaders, just, I think, really where we're heading in the future.
Yeah, awesome. So when you think about this, the way to look at your mission is designed to help you to act as if you're already that, right? So how do we bring that into reality every day? So when you're looking at this and you're working through with PM Collective, you go, hang on, if we were already Australia's industry-led property management partnership, what would we be doing 3 years from now that we're not doing right now? And then we'd like, well, we'd probably do this, we'd be doing that, we'd be partnering with these people. Okay, cool. What of that could we start doing now? And then we go, oh, well, we can at least start doing this, because we might not be able to do all the things we think about, but we'll find out what's the one thing we can do. And then we start doing that. So every single time we take that mission, we go, okay, how do we start to bring more and more of that into reality? So we become Australia's industry-led management partnership, through actually leading, living, and loving it every day by using it as a decision-making filter from the beginning. All right. And so we went from, what do we do? 6 to 18, 43 words now, I think. No, less than that. So we had 3, 18, and 20, 21. So 39 words.
Sweet.
Yeah. If my math is correct, someone will correct me on that, I'm sure. But so we now can describe who we have to become in 6 words. So we know why we're here. We're here to guide and shape an enjoyable future. We know how we think through those values of, I'm trying to remember all of them here, adaptability, advocacy, curiosity, and connection. Okay?
You actually have done a better job than me.
To create a world, that's why I do this for a living, you know, to create a world where the relationships, stronger relationships, create a sustainable future by becoming Australia's industry-led property management partnership. I think I passed the test.
You did.
So now we have a full narrative, right? And well, I should have just gone this page, just right here, right? So this is the top half of what we started to build then is what we call the business evolution roadmap. As we're winding up towards the end here, I'm going to show you how it all looks now. There's a thing when you talk to people in business, you go like, I hear it so many times, like, Dave, I just wish I could get everybody on the same page. And I'm like, great, show me the page, right? And we go, well, it's just a metaphor, isn't it? And I said, well, no, what if you could actually get everybody on the same page? And we could put your culture and strategy all on one page, where everything on that page could become a yes, and anything that's not on that page is a no. And then all we had to do is help our people find a better yes and a better time for that yes on that page. And this is why we created what we call the business evolution roadmap, which is the whole process, which we've been doing, is building this evolution, or in this case, the collective evolution roadmap going forward into the future. And it starts with the purpose. So at the very beginning of the page, the top of the page is, does this serve our purpose? Will this help us guide and shape an enjoyable future? Yes or no? Then we have our values of curiosity, adaptability, advocacy, and connection. Does it reject any of these things? Yes or no? And then will it take us to stronger relationships that will create a sustainable future? Yes or no? And will it help us become Australia's industry-led property management partnership? Yes or no? Right? And then now we have the narrative for this organization. Now, please understand, words form a narrative, but numbers tell the story. So we need to make sure that the narrative and the story match. So then what the next part is looking at what are the objectives and key results for the organization. And we use this as a methodology when working with people on strategy. And so you'll see the way that this is set up that Ash and I are going to run through now. The strategy part is so that it just mirrors human behavior. We wanted to find a goal-setting methodology that would match the way people think. So the objective is success. So if we think of whatever success means to you, you've achieved these things to get that picture of success. You've taken these behaviors to do that. And the way you think determines how you act. So we said, well, okay, so what does success look like in the things that we need to do? What would be the results to show we've achieved that success? What are the behaviors that the organization would take? What drives behaviors? Our values, how we think. And so we've used this as the methodology. So when you think about Australia's industry-led property management partnership, also please understand what you have here now is the strategy. I'm going to run through this very quickly, and Ash can jump in with everything wherever she feels the need to. It's probably just easier if I articulate it at the moment. But please understand that what we want to do is create this in a narrative and story format, because then every one of you involved in the collective, I don't know if you've been in an organization where you either feel the strategy is happening to you, or you don't even know what the strategy is, and there's no connection to the strategy. We want this to be a narrative and a story so that we can all be part of that narrative and all part of that story and have a character or a role to play in that narrative and story. So you're a part of the strategy. It doesn't happen to you, right? Because that's the last thing. This is an industry-led collective. This is about all of us working together, not something we're going to go, hey, this is what's going to happen to you. Okay, so please understand. Also, the way this is set up is from there to here. So going from there back down to here, it's reverse engineering the future. A lot of organizations today, they go, well, what's our strategy? We go, well, let's put 10% more of this and 10% less of that. Let's tweak this and tweak that. And what I would call tweaking your way to irrelevance, because you're just adding, and this is just a growth-based strategy. What we're creating here is an evolution-based strategy, that here's the steady progressive increase of our capabilities of PM Collective, thus our capacity for greatness can expand, and we'll have growth spurts along the way. Because if your organization is just purely focused on growth, here's the challenge that we have, is you're probably going to grow out of business. When everything else is evolving around us, like what's the rate of change today?
With
everything.
Yeah. 10 times, 100 times. Yeah.
And actually, disruption is a new change, and then all those disruptions are now happening faster and faster and faster. When everything's constantly being disrupted, all that's left is a constant state of evolution. So the way we've set up PM Collective's strategy is a way where it can continue to evolve as well at the same time, so that we can lead at best, respond at worst, but never have to react. Because when things are going like this, and we're just focused on growth and being more, not becoming more, well, we're going to have to react to whatever happens. And then we might react too late and we turn too late. Okay, so this is why this is an evolution-based strategy. So as you go through this, I just wanted to frame that up so you understand why. Now, I'm not going to go into great detail here, but just start to so you understand it. So the first thing when we talk about Australia's industry-led property management partnership, when we think about what is the number one objective here, if we're trying to build human-centric organizations where people are at the heart of everything we do, the first thing we must think about is, well, what's the team we must have? So we challenge Ashland, what's the team? We've realized that, of course, this may sound interesting because we started off with the visionary team as the 3-year objective, but because you're such an innate bias for action, you already developed that before we finished the process. And we said, okay, well, you started well into that. And then I challenged them, well, what's bigger than that? Well, we need to have a global team. Can you imagine in 3 years' time that although we're Australia's industry-led property management partnership, where we have people in the international locations, that we have coffee conversations happening in different countries, and we have these visionary leaders starting to show up in other countries. We might be Australia's industry-led, but we can still have a global, we can act local, but think global. So we must have a global team. Now, our team, when they fall in love with why we do what we do, and we speak that love to the market, guess what? That's where our brand comes from, as we talked about that culture and brand relationship. So we wanted to make sure that PM Collective had a transformative brand. In order to be Australia's industry-led property management partnership, we need this global team to create a transformative brand, right? When you think about transformative brand, like why a transformative brand?
Just to stay relevant.
Yep. But we also want to make sure that we are transforming our industry as well, right? That we're the leaders. We have this global team, and that we want to make sure all of us are helping to transform our industry as we go along. So our industry doesn't have to react to what's happening, that our industry is evolving at the same rate as the collective, right? And then we'd be looking at how many PMs we have per capita across, if we have a really transformative brand, we would see all those PMs in different states and capitals. The benchmarks of the brand benchmarks would be being exceeded, and all our events would be sold out. Can you imagine? We have this global team, and every event that you guys are running all across Australia gets sold out because of the great work that we're doing and the difference we're making in our industry. Well, guess what? This global team that builds that transformative brand is going to create involved membership, right? Because people are going to go, how do we get involved with what you guys are doing? We see it everywhere. Oh my God, what you're doing is epic. How do we become a part of it? And we know we'll have an involved membership when we actually see members starting to lead events, when we're seeing an increase in the attendance and participation at those events. And we have actually members providing resources to the collective. Hey, we're doing this. We'd like to share it with the collective. Yeah. And that's when we know people are being involved. And then guess what? If we have this global team building this transformative brand, creating this involved membership, the collective will have financial consistency. Because I know organizations still need money to survive, all right? There's like money to an organization is like oxygen to us as human beings. We need to survive, but we weren't born just to breathe. And of course, when money is your end game, you'll play any game. And that's why this is like money is important, but we didn't make the strategy based off of how much money the collective wants to make. The collective will need funding and fuel to continue to evolve and expand and provide and do all the things it needs to do. But we need to do that where it's consistent. And we know we'd have that consistency where we would see the membership growth state by state. We can see constant growth in the membership because people are seeing the value in what's being offered. And then we'd have retention of the sponsors' revenue. The sponsors want to keep investing in this because they're getting more value. If you remember the SWOT analysis, how do we get more value to our sponsors, right? And then, of course, we would have increased annual giving. So guess what? The collective can give back. The more that we make, the more that we can actually have things, evolving and growing. We can actually then give back because that's what it's about. And then in order to have this team with this transformative brand, getting these members involved and having that financial consistency, we must have intuitive systems and operations. We need to be able to systemize the collective in a way that makes sense, where it's intuitive, right? Where we have self-service accessibility, where we have single source, where you can get everything you want in one place. And that we have an app where people are starting to use it. We're going to have apps that are useful, not to just turn people into doors, right? So,
yeah.
And so we want to have that and make sure we know that we have this. When we're making it easy to use, you can do it right there in your hand. And guess what? It's self-serve accessibility, right? And then the last part of this strategy then to become Australia's industry-led property management partnership, this global team that builds this transformative brand, which involves this membership, which creates financial consistency with these intuitive systems and operations, must drive partnership value, right? Which we would see partnership value happening when we have more industry endorsements, when we have key stakeholders collaborating with us And we have sponsorship by PM Collective. We're actually out there sponsoring. We're not only getting more value and towards to the collective, but we're giving more value back. Right? That's what the 3 years looks like. Now, please understand, in order to get to this 3 years, well, what does the first 12 months have to look like? So as an evolution-based strategy, if that's what 3 years looks like, so firstly, can you all imagine like PM Collective with this global team? Like, what would that look like? And imagine PM Collective is this we've transformed our industry, and we have all these people involved in doing things, and there's financial consistency, so we can continue to invest in the future of our industry and all the things we want to provide. And we have these really cool intuitive systems and this partnership value. What would that look like? Just take a moment and reflect on that and go, holy crap, that would be an amazing, amazing group of human beings all working together to lift each other up and to lift our industry up. Right? So that's 3 years. So what I challenge Ashlyn is, if that's the team we need in 3 years, what's the team we need in the next 12 months? And as we already alluded to, well, we need to create this visionary team in the next 12 months to have that team in 3 years. It's not what's 1/3 of the global team in the next 12 months. That's not that's the old way we would do strategy. So what the team we must have is obviously this visionary team. And we know that when we have industry-led changes, that visionary team, you're not the only one who has to come up with the ideas. Everybody's coming up with ways to that. And we have new ways to improve our industry, where we're actually having learning opportunities are being shared. Oh my God, we did this and here's what we learned. And we're sharing it with each other, right? Because you can have all these coffee chats and everything around, but if those learnings are staying isolated, we're losing the value of that. And was something that you brought up, which was really critical, which is why learning opportunities was critical. And of course, if we're all open to learning, we should be all progressing in self-development.
100%.
Based on our values, right? So we know we have this global team when we build this visionary team. In order to get to that transformative brand, the first 12 months, we have to make sure that the PM Collective is an impactful brand. We have to make an impact in the next 12 months. So we would know we have an impactful brand when we have a bunch of people wanting, how do we become members? We would see an increase in member inquiries, right? We would see industry and media requests saying, hey, what is it that you're doing? We want you to come speak to us, right? All of you around there, like, hey, come talk to us and tell us what's happening in this collective that you guys are all part of. And we would start to see changes being adopted in our industry, the things that we're putting forward, the new ideas, the things to evolve our own industry. We would see those being adopted. Right. And now that involved membership, in order to get our membership involved more in the collective, first thing we need to do is get everyone more active. So we need an active membership in the next 12 months. And we know people will be active when we see more Learning Lab logins. People are starting to log into the Learning Lab and go, okay, I want to get some of that. We'll see the increase in the coffee catch-ups. I remember when we first talked to this and we said, oh, how many do you do? And you're like, oh, this, and you set a goal for something and you've already blown it within the first 6 months or something of that. It was just like, okay, well, we need a bigger goal, right? That was so awesome. It's like, we're just putting it in the strategy. Like, no, I've already achieved that. We need a bigger goal. Okay, we need to increase that. Yeah, that was awesome. But then we'd also start to see member-led training. So we know people are active in their membership. They're they're logging in to learn more. We've got more coffee catch-ups happening because they see the value in that. And the members are starting to provide some of the training, right? In order to get the state of financial consistency in the next 12 months, we have to make sure PM Collective is financially independent. It has to drive its own sense of cash flow, a positive cash flow. It needs to make sure that that we can pay out affiliate revenue. We want people to be able to make money out of this as well, right? And that there's a future investment fund. Because in order to become Australia's industry-led property management partnership and have that consistency, we need to have money to invest in the future, new technologies, marketing, advertising, you name it, that we need to do to put on events, etc. So we need to make sure that it becomes financially independent in the next 12 months. And then these intuitive systems and operations, well, guess what? In order to get to that, we need to first get the systems being utilized, which we need to get more people using the app, right? So the first thing, the next 12 months, how do we get more people onto the app? Then how do we get people in there then to actually do more stuff in the app, right? And then how do we make sure that we've documented all our processes and procedures? What processes and procedures do we need? As we evolve and mature as a collective, we need to make sure we're systemizing a lot of stuff, right? That ad hoc stuff, So we need to make sure that we have consistent processes and procedures that we can all replicate. And then the last part, of course, if we want to drive this partnership value, the first thing we need to do in the next 12 months is build supportive partnerships where that partnership value can be realized. And we know we've achieved supportive partnerships if we have more involved participation from our partners, we have more events being held state by state, and we see an increase in the national partnerships that are happening, not just local ones. So here's the evolution of PM Collective, from where it is today to becoming Australia's industry-led property management partnership. We must have a global team built from this visionary team. We must have a transformative brand, which will start with an impactful one. We must have involved membership, which will start from getting everyone active first. We must have financial consistency, which will start from us becoming financially independent first. We'll have these intuitive systems and operations, which will start with us getting people using the systems we have. And we must drive partnership value, which will come from actually, let's start being supportive of our partnerships. And this is the future of PM Collective. Do you want to add anything to that?
I was just going to say, and here they all are thinking that, Ash just goes and throws up a few, Instagram posts here and there. And that was
the deep thinking that Ash has, I tell you.
a lot to unpack. And, at the start, I was like, oh gosh, this is like airing out your dirty laundry, with it. And it's quite a vulnerable thing to do. But the way you've gone through it, because between you and me, I had no idea what to expect either. It's really great, because I think, and thank you to everyone that has stayed with us, because, I know that it was a bit to get through, but I think that I don't always get the opportunity to get what's in my head out to explain what I'm trying to create. And I think that this is just going to be such a useful tool for people to actually see what we're working on, see how they can be part of it. And there's just so much opportunity for the industry, so much opportunity for you who is sitting in a little office that is doing your maintenance and arranging your plumbers, but knows in their heart they've got so much to give, and this is the platform and this is the place for it. So I'm just really excited to have worked with you to have got to that stage, and for everyone just to sort of see but share that vision. And I've always seen PM Collective as an umbrella, and under that umbrella, that's where the opportunity sits, not just for me but for everyone involved, and it's exciting. So
and please understand, everyone has to hold that umbrella from time to time. It's not just Ash holding an umbrella over the whole industry. It's sometimes like any one of you should be holding or can hold that umbrella, right? That we're all holding that umbrella to protect each other. And please understand that, and you already alluded to this, like, so we talked about the culture. Culture is there so we can attract the right people into our organization. And so a culture as a magnet, it can attract and repel. It will repel those who don't want to be a part of it. Doesn't make them bad people, just this isn't for them. And it will attract those who do want to be a part of it. Now, the strategy part here, when you can see this now, and as you said, the reason why we do this is we want to share this with you, because when you can see the future of PM Collective, you can start to see yourself having a future in PM Collective. And that's how people will stay and start to create that sense of belonging, right? Because now you can see what the next 3 years is going to look like. And when you can see what that looks like, here's what's going to happen in your brain. And this is why I asked you, can you imagine what that would look like? Start to visualize that in your head. Because when you see like, oh my God, that would be amazing. And then when you look at what PM Collective is right now, you're going to go, oh, that picture here doesn't match the one I just saw. And then your brain is going to kick in and go, how do I make those pictures match? And then this is where all that creativity and all the ideas are going to come from. Well, we should, if we're really Australia's industry led and we were having this global team, what would we be doing if we had a global team? Well, we'd be doing this. Okay, well, what of that can we start doing right now? Your brain is going to find the answers. This is why the how-to comes quarterly, because when we break it down to the next stage, the next things we can work on in the next 90 days, that's when we're really going to dig in the how-to. But if you can see the future, you can have a picture in your mind. Your brain wants to make those pictures match so that you can be sane. It will give you all the energy, the creativity, the ideas, and everything that you need to do that. If we make the new picture the dominant one, it will give us all the energy to go towards that. And if not, we'll sabotage it and stay where we are. This is why it's so important that you can see this and create the narrative and story that you can be a part of, so that you can see the future of PM Collective and go, is this a future I see myself in?
Yeah.
And do I want to be a part of this? Do I want to have it be involved in the member as an involved member? Do I want to be a partner that adds value? Do I want, and whatever role it is I want to play? Do I want to be part of a transformative brand? And if you do see that future, then this is the collective you should be a part of, right? And this is where you would stay here, because people come for content, but they stay for community. And we're building a community that all is here to create Australia's industry-led property management partnership, because we're all here to guide and shape an enjoyable future for ourselves, right? Because we all want to see a world where What's the vision? I'm just seeing if Ash knows. I'm just testing.
No, don't test me. My life.
Where we can see a future where stronger relationships,
Stronger
create a
relationships
sustainable
create a sustainable future.
I know you know. I just put you on the spot.
You did.
Okay. So that's pretty much the only last thing, and this is where we're kind of at the stage now. The last part of what the challenge for Ash and all of you is strategy is perceived value, but execution is value realized. So all this stuff we had and we shared with you today, it is worth 2 knobs of goat poo if we do not execute on it. We perceive the value in creating this new future for PM Collective. It will come down to your ability to execute as a collective on this. And the way to do that is fast execution, right? So please think and this is where we challenged Ash on the 90 days, is like, what matters most this next 90 days? What are we focused on? And then we need to build a systematic approach to accountability. Okay, we need to have who's accountable for what, where, and when, and why of this process. And then we need to make sure that we have simplicity and, once again, a simple tactical plan on how we're going to do it, and to make sure it's transparent so all of you can see what everybody's working on. And when you have focus, accountability, simplicity, and transparency, this is how we execute at a far greater rate. So all this is great, but if we don't do anything about it, it's just perceived value. It's not realized value. Realized value comes to execution, and I know you have an innate bias.
I was going to say, yeah, we're onto it, because in about 3 hours I'm boarding a plane to London to go and do PM Collective stuff over there. So
you're already starting to look at the global team, and
I probably like skipped, which is probably we'll discuss that later. Because, but no, I'm getting on a plane to London, and I've got PM Collective talk over there, which is
awesome.
Very exciting. Not just PM Collective talk, but industry talk about bringing something over to Australia. So very excited for that.
So that's it.
High five. Job. I am so thankful to everyone that joined. We had such a great reaction to this session, and for those that stayed with us, I know that some had to go, for timing, but there will be a replay available for this. And if you are watching the replay and want to reach out, do reach out to me.
Yes.
Also, I'm just going to do a quick little promotion for Dave, because Dave is amazing, and just that session itself was very much a leadership and a business session for those watching. So if what Dave talks about resonates with you, or something that you need support with from a leadership point of view, I highly recommend that you even just connect with Dave on LinkedIn.
Yep.
And hear all the wonderful wise things he says and talks about. So thank you. I'll see you all when you see me posting on my socials, now where I'm focusing my energy. And I'm so grateful to have you all along for the ride.
Yes. And your participation is going to be critical. So,
amazing.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.